Hello, and welcome to Fierce Conversations with Toby, the show where we talk about the hard things. I'm Toby Dorr. In today's episode, we will embrace the art of portraying stories of strong women. Our guest today is the actress Catherine Bell, who most recently played me in a Lifetime movie. Catherine was born in London but moved to California with her Iranian mother at the age of 2. As a girl, Catherine acted in various TV advertisements. She went to UCLA to study biology and pre-med, but dropped out to become a model in Japan. Catherine starred in Good Witch, Jag, Army Wives, Bruce Almighty, and Lifetime's Jailbreak Lovers. She is also co-founder of EVR Beauty. Welcome, Catherine. I'm just delighted to have you here today. I know your schedule's so busy, and thanks for taking time.
Absolutely. Such a joy for me to be able to do this and finally chat with you.
It's great to talk in person. I feel like we kind of know each other, but we've never really spoken in person before, which is just awesome.
I know. This is great.
I like to ask everyone a question that kind of gives us a peek into who you are. And that is, what's your favorite color? And what do you think that says about you?
My favorite color is purple, and I'm not sure if it started before or after Purple Rain came out, but I was absolutely obsessed with Prince in high school.
Uh-huh.
Definitely a connection there.
That's pretty cool. Purple's a great color. It's one of my 3 favorite colors. So
Nice.
I love that. So I read that you're a firm believer in doing things that scare you. What's the scariest thing you've ever done? And would you do it again?
Oh boy. Ever since I was maybe a teenager, I always knew that doing something that scared me would give me a chance to overcome that fear. You know, if you just never confront it and never do it, you're going to always be terrified of the thing.
Right.
And I started with, riding a motorcycle. My cousin taught me how to ride. And then probably skydiving was one of the scariest. And I'm glad I did it, but I would never do it again because it was really dangerous and I almost died. So
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Did your chute not open?
Basically, it opened, but it was so windy that we actually should not have been allowed to go up. And it wasn't a tandem jump. It was the kind where it's called a static line. You jump out of the plane and the cord, it pulls the chute open.
It releases.
By yourself. And you're floating down. And it was too windy, and just about 50 feet before I landed, the chute kind of partly caved in. And so landing was pretty hard. I mean, I got bruised and bashed up. I didn't break anything. Wore my jeans and bloody, and it was intense.
I don't blame you for not wanting to try that again. I don't think I would either.
No, got that out of my system.
Yeah. Checked it off the list, and that's good enough.
Right.
You also shared with me that you started working with Criminon, a criminal reform program in your 30s, and you're now a supervisor there. Can you tell us more about that work?
Yes. I've been very involved in Criminon. It's a criminal rehabilitation program. And it's incredible. It basically works off of the premise that that man is basically good, and they, despite where they may have ended up, they can be rehabilitated. Many of these guys have just never had the right guidance, the right teaching, whether it's a moral code or realizing that they can help others and be kind to others and treat others how they want to be treated. And it's non-religious moral code and several courses, relationship courses and ethics. And it's so rewarding. I supervise under a different name, of course. They don't know that it's me.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Right. But they send in their lessons and I grade them and I send it back, encourage them, and they start to apply different things in prison around them and truly, truly transform. It's pretty remarkable to see somebody change.
I think that's beautiful. I do believe that the majority of people who get out of prison, they don't want to go back and they do want to turn their lives around. But if you don't have someone to help show you a different way or coach you in a different direction, we all go back to where we came from. And that's not a good place to be. I think that's beautiful. And I was so surprised to learn that about you, that you, with your busy schedule of being an actress and all the other things that you do, that you take time to give back to the community. I think that's just beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I feel like I never do it enough. I always want to do more, but that's something. It's just weekly. It takes 20 minutes, half hour, an hour. I always want to do more. I feel like, what's the purpose of doing what I do, or having a name, or having, people maybe look up to me for what a show or a character I played, and to be able to give back and, help
I think that's beautiful.
hire. Yeah, thank you.
It makes your life purposeful, like you're making a difference in someone else's life, which I think is really important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, what's important to you when considering new roles?
Um, sorry, I just took my puppy to the vet and he's fluffy, got hair everywhere.
Yes, I can
That's what's
relate.
happening
I
here.
have a cat, a long-haired cat, who
Okay.
does the same thing to me. Yeah,
You understand.
I do.
So in taking a role, I think it's funny, every time I finish a series or a movie or whatever, especially a series where I've been playing a character for so long, been fortunate enough to have 3 shows where, they ran 7 or 8 years, all 3 of
Yeah.
them.
Mhm.
And after playing a character for that long, I always want to do something different. Like, what can I do that's completely different than what I just spent the last 8 years doing? That's how your movie came up. It was about as far from Good Witch as I could find.
Yes,
I
yes, I
loved
think
it.
so. I think so. So, when you're playing a character, are you completely into that persona and Catherine's just left behind? Or do you bring Catherine in as a part of the characters that you play?
Good question. I think, well, first of all, I'm not a method actor, where you're in character for the whole duration of the shoot or the whole day.
Mhm.
Up in and out of it. But, you do all the work ahead of time. Who is the character? How do they talk? How do they walk? How do they feel
Mhm.
about life and things? And what are their morals? All those things you spend time trying to understand who the
Mhm.
character, or at least your version of that person,
Right, right.
whether it's a made up person or a real person,
A real person. I never thought about going down as far as how do they walk, but it makes so much sense because you
Yeah.
can't just be yourself and just say different words. You kind of really
Yeah.
got to have a whole personality to it. That's pretty neat. I didn't
It's,
realize that.
it's true. And, there are certain characters that have parts of me. Of course, that's a little bit of me in every character, but some
Mhm.
are who I am. But it just depends on the character and what you're
Mhm.
trying to
That's pretty
accomplish.
cool. Our paths crossed because you recently played me in a Lifetime movie, which
I
was
did.
Jailbreak Lovers. And we actually had no contact with each other until after the movie aired. So
Yeah.
you had to develop my character by watching interviews, and heavens knows there's a lot of them out there. So, but did you have to fill in many gaps, or did you get enough from the interviews to think you had a good feel?
I mean, it's interesting because legally we were not allowed to talk to you guys because
Yes.
we didn't buy your rights. We sort of
Yes.
just took you're legally allowed to take what's in the news and use
Right.
that.
Mhm.
And so the director, my co-star, and I, we were like, oh, you messaged us at one point, and we were all on.
Yes.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
can we talk to her? And the Lifetime legal team was saying, no, not now.
Yes.
You're not. We
Uh-huh.
don't want to get in trouble, and that was
Yeah.
really hard. But
Yeah.
I like you said, there was a lot of interviews, a lot of news
Mhm.
back then and more recent, and I watched
Mhm.
as much as I could. I tried to get a little sense of your accent, but they didn't want too much of an accent either. So it was kind of
Mhm.
like it was based on you, but not exactly.
Yes.
And then I just took what I knew about the story and where you were coming from and how it was written in our script, and just kind of, went with that. And then I let my
Mhm.
imagination a little bit of,
It is so weird. I can't even put into words how weird it is to sit and watch your life story play out on a screen. And you're really not sure what they're going to do next, because I wasn't involved in it. And so you keep thinking, where are they going to go with this? And then some of the parts I go, how did they know that? I don't ever remember talking about that particular thing. So it was
oh,
just kind of really an interesting roller coaster ride to watch the movie.
I bet that must have been surreal, like you said, because you weren't involved. So you were probably
Yes.
wondering which way it's going to go. I hope we
Mhm.
did okay by you. You said,
Yeah. Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Because, a lot of times media didn't do okay with my story, but I
Yeah.
think you guys stuck to the story pretty well, except for my parents. They were
Oh,
not old people, and they kind of were old people, but you wouldn't have any way of knowing that. They didn't really
right.
give interviews or anything. So,
And
uh,
that's a good storyline, the
yes, yes.
connection with parents. Yeah. It was I just found it a fascinating and beautiful story. I understood where you were coming from,
Uh-huh.
especially in a position where you hadn't so many people could relate, I think.
I
You have a
think
marriage
so.
that's fallen apart and
Mhm.
you're stuck. You feel stuck. Really,
Mhm.
you and I both know this now that you should fix that marriage or get out of
Yes,
it before
yes.
you get yourself into that
That's
situation.
right. Before you need to have a great escape to do something different. Yeah.
Right.
It's a
And I
it's a
loved that about, yeah, I love that you do those, you do so much motivational speaking now to tell people
Mhm.
that, like,
Mhm.
don't, something like that.
That's right. That's right. Because if you intentionally change, it's a whole lot safer than feeling forced to change or changing because you're desperate. So, yeah, it's really an important message. Um,
Yes.
let's see. Was there anything about me since we started talking with each other? Was there anything about me that you feel you didn't know before you portrayed me in the movie that surprised you?
Ah, I don't think so because
Yeah.
I've seen so much of who you are now and I
Mhm.
just found it so beautiful the change that you went through and what you
Mhm.
learned and the message
Yeah.
that you're hearing with others. So now it's just a real joy to be able to capture a little piece of you in that story.
Well, it was pretty exciting, I'll tell you. And I am such a what's the word? Prude, I don't know, but of course, there was sex scenes and I was watching the movie with my husband and his son who's
Oh
35.
boy.
And
Mm.
we're watching and I was going, "Ah." And my stepson turned around and said, "Toby." I was like, "Ah." So it was pretty fun though. It was pretty fun to
That's
watch.
very funny.
Yeah.
Well, I blush. I don't let my kids watch everything I've done, although I'm proud
Yes.
of all the work, but
Yes.
my year-old, not yet.
That's
But
right. That's right. It
yeah.
seems like you have a history of portraying strong women. Can you share with us one character that you would love to play?
Ooh. Wow. Maybe Cleopatra or something
Oh,
like that.
that'd be a good one. That'd be a
Wouldn't
good
that
one.
I have no idea. She was probably much, much younger, but anyway, that's nice.
Oh, you could get away with it. So, I created a series of workbooks. These are the workbooks. I'll bring them over here.
Oh,
That I wrote, to help women in prison or help women rebuild their lives. But in each
beautiful.
one of these workbooks, every week I pick a woman from history who overcame adversity and went on to change the world. And I have come across of course, there's ones we all know about Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth and Eleanor Roosevelt and Helen Keller. There's so many ones that we know of. But I have found these beautiful hidden gems like Clara Hale, who lived in Harlem, New York, and raised something like 1,000 foster kids in her 2-room apartment. And all of her foster kids she took in, the parents were on drugs and she made
Wow.
some of these women. And Virginia Hall, who was an American that was a spy during World War II, and she was with the resistance in France. And she
Mm,
climbed the Alps and she only had one leg. She had a prosthetic leg. But
wow.
her whole team is what made D-Day work because they blew up the bridges to keep the German reinforcements from getting to Normandy Beach. And
Okay.
I am just amazed at how many such strong women there are out there in history. I just love them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So great. I love that. You have to send me some of those. I'd love to
I
read more.
will. I will. I just came across a couple other ones. Like there was a woman I can't remember the story now, but she was the one who I'm going to read about her. Her work led to the cure for polio. So not the
Oh,
vaccine, but the cure for polio. And
interesting.
I just read about her this week in some kind of a news feed I came across, and I screenshotted it so I can go research her. But there's so many powerful, strong women out there,
Yeah.
and I just think they don't get the credit that they deserve, or they're just obscure. And I'm hoping that I can have a part in maybe making some of those people more of a household name.
I love that. You should send me some of their stories and maybe we'll partner up and make a movie
Yeah,
about one.
I'd love that. I'm going to definitely do that.
Good.
So Tell us about the EVR journey.
Ooh,
I
look at
have
that. You
one.
got one.
Yes, I got one right here. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So excited about this. That's our first product. We're actually launching the next one in a week or two.
Ah.
Very excited. It's gonna be a firming neck cream.
Oh,
You're the
that'd be nice. I kind of
first to
need that.
know. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
as we all do. And it's my focus was that most of the products out there they're toxic. They're full of chemicals,
Mm.
hormone disrupting chemicals, or endocrine disrupting, cancer causing. Really shocking that our FDA allows most of what goes in their fragrance, which is so toxic. People don't realize. So it's non-toxic. It's safe. It's mostly organic. I can't say it's 100% because that's a whole
Mhm.
other certification, but
Right.
it's a lot of organic and
Mhm.
just stuff that you could put on a baby and your kids and feel good
Mhm.
about. Um, uh, it works great. We're getting incredible feedback. So many people, the reviews are just like loving it, lightening their skin, getting rid of dark spots
Mhm.
and stuff.
That's good. I'm 65 this year, and
Wow.
I'm hoping to have some help with that, getting rid of dark spots. But
Perfect.
when
Let me
I
know.
went, yeah, I will. When I went to prison, I had a whole regime I followed. I did, all these things at night and in the morning, and I wore makeup. And when you go to prison, there's there's nothing. You can buy a jar of, I don't know, Vaseline, but you just don't have a lot of stuff that you
Oh,
can purchase. And so I got out
wow.
of the habit of taking care of my skin. And since I've been out of prison, I have not gotten back into a regime at all. So I
Oh,
ordered this when I was doing some research on you, and I've started
oh,
using it. So I keep it on my
yay.
desk so I can use it a couple times a day, and I'll let you know how I
Fantastic.
end up. Yeah.
I'll send you an early jar of my neck cream. My whole point too is to keep it simple because not everyone has time to do a 25
Yes.
step. I don't like to do that. I wash my makeup
Hmm.
off at night and I take my eye makeup off and then I
Hmm.
put a moisturizer on and that's it. But
Yeah. Yeah. I
simple,
would
but
love to try out your neck cream. I would love that.
yeah, I'll send you some.
So, what's one life lesson that's carried you through the hard times?
Ooh. The first thing that popped into my mind was just the good old saying, "This too shall pass."
Hmm. That
Mom
is
always
true.
said that. It's just whatever you're going through, however bad it might be.
Hmm.
I'll have those moments or years or months or whatever it might be. You will get through it.
Hmm.
Just keep one foot in front of the other and just do your
Yeah,
best to get
there
out.
always is a path out. And
Yeah.
and I found when I was in prison, I could let myself sit there and think about how terrible it was. Here I was in prison and I couldn't have french fries or salt or, things that I had grown accustomed to.
Yeah.
Or I could look at it and say, I have this huge gift of time that I never had before. All this time that I can spend on myself and
Wow.
try to get inside my head and figure out the things I'd done in my life wasn't proud of, or the wounds in my life that I hadn't let heal. And I could
Mm-hmm.
go back and start working through all those. So I do
Amazing.
think that there's always a way out. And if you focus on that instead of the negative part of where you are, it just works out so much better.
That is beautiful, Toby. It's so true. It's nice to
Yeah.
hear that. Hmm.
Yeah. That's kind of one of the things that got me through.
Yeah.
So I wondered if I could get you to say, listen to Fierce Conversations with Toby in Persian.
Oh boy, you're gonna put me on the spot. My Farsi is so conversational. I don't have a big vocabulary, but let me. I don't know how to say the word fierce. Let me try. In no, I can't. I don't know the word
You don't know the
fierce.
word for fierce.
I don't know
Okay.
conversation. Gushbede means to listen.
Oh, cool. I like
So I'm just
that.
gonna say gushbede be in
Mhm.
shoy Toby.
Yeah, I like that.
That's the simple version.
I think Persian is such a beautiful language. I had a friend I used to work with who was Iranian, and her father worked with the Shah, and they came to America when the Shah was overthrown, and she
Yeah.
would always tell us what we were talking about in Persian, and we all just love to hear it. It is just beautiful.
It
So
really is.
thank
I'm
you
so
for
glad I
that.
went to speak it, of course.
Yeah. So what's one question you wish I'd asked you and didn't? There's something else you'd like to share with us?
I can't think of anything.
Oh, good.
Covered
Okay.
some good ground. It was great.
Good. Well, I have so delighted in having you on, and I know you're so busy. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I am going to send you some of these wonderful, strong, fierce women that I found, and see if you can figure out a story with them. Because wow,
always looking for that,
Yeah.
and the idea of playing these so interesting and unknown historical women is really, really interesting to me.
Yeah, I will definitely send that to you. Well, thank
Great.
you so much, Catherine, for being
My
on with
pleasure.
us today in Fierce
you.
Conversations with Toby. And I'll be right back with you in just a moment. Remember, none of us is our worst mistake. We all have so much more to offer the world. And those so-called mistakes are blessed opportunities to learn and grow. Next week, we'll continue to bring you inspiring stories by people who've identified a need for change and are working to make a difference in the world. Subscribe to our Patreon channel, Fierce Conversations, for special access and behind-the-scenes info. Go to patreon.com/Fierce Conversations or click on the link in the show notes. 10% of the Patreon proceeds are dedicated to providing workbooks to women in prison. The show notes will also provide a link to Catherine's EVR cream so that you can purchase it yourself, and a link to purchase my memoir, Living with Conviction. As I talk about in depth in my memoir, I had a conversation while in prison where my friend Lisa told me, in here, we can talk about all the hard things. In fact, I think we must, and so we shall. This is Fierce Conversations with Toby, where we talk about the hard things. Until next time.